Shabbat Shalom, Israel. Welcome again to Watchmen of the Faith Ministries. My name is Kasada Bach. Okay, lately I've been doing a series on Exodus, the 20th chapter. And the reason why I'm doing this series on Exodus, the 20th chapter, is because it's letting us know, okay, that there are prerequisites to the marriage. Exodus, the 20th chapter, is talking about the 10 commandments, which we call the ketubah. There are rules and regulations to the marriage. And more so now than ever, everybody should be aware how serious and how critical the times are today. Just look at the news. Just like the scriptures say, we're supposed to pray and watch. And we should know that we are living in the absolute last days. And it is very, very important for us to understand the times that we're living in. And the only way out of this last exile here is to come back into covenant relationship with your husband. And who is the husband? The husband is the Messiah. The Father sent the Son, and it is our responsibility to show forth the praises and the glory of the Messiah in the world. That is so, so important. What I also want to talk about too now is that we have to understand that every single parable and every single miracle is alluding to the coming of the Messiah. I'm going to say it again. Every single prophecy and every single parable is alluding to the second coming of the Messiah. And these parables, okay, and these miracles are also alluding to the reunification of the 12 tribes of Israel. Because right now, at this date, there's still not a reunification of both northern and southern kingdom. That must be understood. What I wanted to do now is go to Mark, the 7th chapter, and I wanted to start at the 14th verse. And I'm going to deviate just a little bit from Exodus, the 20th chapter, but it's still somewhat in the ballpark of, this ministry that I'm doing. And the reason why I'm going to Mark, the 7th chapter, the 14th verse, because it was brought to my attention that this is Mark, the 17th chapter, the 14th verse, all the way down to the 23rd verse. I'm finding out that a lot of Christians are using this scripture to justify eating pork. Again, trying to find every loophole possible to break the commandments. All right? You cannot break the commandments. What is sin? Sin is transgression of the law, and we have to come back again into covenant relationship with the Messiah. And the way that we do that is by following the commandments. Now, I'm going to start at the 14th verse. And again, this is Mark, the 7th chapter, the 14th verse. And when he is referring to the Messiah, Hamashiach, the Messiah. And when he had called all the people unto him, he said unto them, hearken unto me, every one of you, and understand. That is very, very important. In the second part of verse 14, where the Messiah is saying, hearken unto me. All right, now let's get a better understanding of what's going on when it says hearken unto me. Let's go to the book of Matthew 17. Matthew 17, and I'm going to be reading verses 1 through 5. All right, and this is going to tie in perfectly what the Messiah is saying in Mark, the 7th chapter, the 15th verse, the 14th verse. And after 6 days, the Messiah took Peter, James, and John, his brother, and bringing them up into a high mountain, and was transfigured before them. Now, the person that was transfigured before them was the Messiah. This is the Messiah returning to his former glory that he had before he came here and did his ministry here on the earth. And was transfigured before them, and his face did shine as the sun, and his raiment was white as the light. Verse 3. And behold, there appeared unto them Moses, Moshe, and Elijah, talking with them. Then answered Peter and said unto the Messiah, it is good for us to be here. If thou wilt, let us make here 3 tabernacles, one for thee, which is the Messiah, one for Moses, and one for Elijah. While he yet spoke, behold, a bright cloud overshadowed them. And behold, a voice out of the cloud, which said, this is my beloved Son, which is Hamashiach, Yeshua, Yahushai. in whom I am well pleased, hear ye him. Now, when we go back now to verse 14, Mark 7:14, the Messiah is saying, hearken unto me. The Father told us to listen to the Messiah. The Messiah is the one that was that light that shined in darkness to bring understanding back to the nation of Israel. And it's Israel's responsibility now to be the light to the whole world. Now, verse 14 again. And when he, which is the Messiah, had called all the people unto him, he said unto them, hearken unto me, every one of you, and understand. So this is the whole key thing that we have to do. We have to make sure that we understand exactly what's going on in the scriptures from Genesis to Revelation. And I'm here to say, from Genesis to Revelation, the scriptures is talking about the reunification of northern and southern kingdom, and it's talking about the Messiah, okay? The groom of the nation of Israel. And Israel's responsibility is to show forth the Father and the Son's praises throughout the four corners of the earth. That's your responsibility as a bride. Verse 15, the Messiah said, now, there is nothing from without a man that entered into him can defile him. But the thing which come out of him, those are they that defile the man. Now, I'm going to read 15 again. Where it says there is nothing from without a man that entering unto him can defile him, is because it didn't take root. All right, that's all what that's saying. That the man didn't entertain it. So it's very, very important in this walk as a Talmud or as a Talmudine, a disciple of the Messiah. Is very, very important, okay, that we don't entertain negative and disagreeable spirits. We have to stay out of the strip clubs, stay out of the bars, stay out of these Mardi Gras things that I hear a lot of people are going into. There's even a group that I heard who are Israelites who are teaching that it's okay to go to strip clubs, okay, and it's okay for them now to disrespect our Israelite women who are sliding up and down on the poles, taking advantage of their ignorance. I'm here to tell you, we as Israelites, we are not supposed to be disrespecting one another, even in their ignorance. All right. So this whole strip club and going to parties and doing all these negative things, these things are entertaining negative spirits. And again, our jobs as Talmudine, and the word Talmud or Talmudine just means disciples, because we are supposed to be a holy priest unto the Most High our power, just like it tells us in what is it? I think that's in Deuteronomy, book of Devarim. Let's get that right quick. Let's try 7 and 6. For thou art in a holy people, and to the Most High thy power. The Most High thy power has chosen thee to be a special people unto himself, above all people that are upon the face of the earth. And that's very, very important that we understand that now. Now again, when the Messiah chose the nation of Israel, we must understand that when he chose us, that choosing was for us to now show forth again the praises of the Father in the world. You were chosen and you were given a responsibility. So now that you're chosen, now what are you supposed to be doing? We cannot, again, entertain negative spirits. Okay, and I don't want to go too far off the track, but again, the Most High chose us to be a special people unto himself above all people that are upon the face of the earth. And there are 70 nations on the planet Earth. All right, not 18 nations the way that it was taught back over there at One West. Okay, we have to also revisit a lot of these scriptures that was taught to us by One West. And again now, the Most High chose the nation of Israel above all these other nations on the planet Earth. But it is your responsibility now to show forth the praises. Now, I'm going back now to Mark the 7th chapter, the 15th verse, where it says, there is nothing from without a man that entering into him can defile him. Again, because he didn't entertain it. But the things which come out of a man, those are they which defile the man. And just like the scriptures say, you will know a tree by the fruits that it bear. Now, let's bring some more edification of what's going on in verse 15, the second part of it. Let's go to, let's go to the book of Proverbs, 23, verse 7. 23 verse 7. For as he thinketh in his heart, so is he. So this is how you know a man. Because out of the heart comes the issues of life. So where it says, for as he thinketh in his heart, so is he. Eat and drink, saith he to thee, but his heart is not with thee. So this is a definition, how we get to know who a person really is, whether or not a person is really sincere, okay, in doing this job. Because there's a lot of pretenders out there. There's a lot of brothers out there, okay, who give counsel, and what they're underminingly trying to do is take other brothers' wives. All right, this is what they're trying to do. They're trying to take your money, trying to take your personal belongings, and like I said earlier, they're trying to take your wives. Israel, if we're going to stand up, okay, and be the ministers that we need to be, stay away from other brothers' wives, okay? Please, stay away from other brothers' wives. Give them sound doctrine, okay, with these scriptures, and trying to reconcile the problem, but keep your hands off other brothers' wives, okay? Because as the scripture says, for as he thinketh in his heart, so is he. And out of the heart comes the issues of life. This is what defileth a man. This is how you know whether or not a man is truly sincere in following the laws, statutes, and commandments. I'm going to read verse 15 again because I like that. That's real heavy. There is nothing from without a man that entering into him can defile him. But the things which come out of him, those are they which defile the man. Now, verse 16. If any man have ears to hear, let him hear. He must understand what's going on in verse 15, because verse 15 is a parable. We need to understand what is the higher level of understanding of what's going on in verse 15. And the Messiah is saying in verse 16, if any man have ears to hear, let him hear. What's also important was going on in verse 16, that verse 16 is explaining the redemptive role of the Messiah. Okay, because what did the Messiah come to do? The Messiah came, I have all my notes here. The Messiah came, okay, to give sight to the blind, open the ears of the deaf, and loosen the tongues of the mute. All these miracles explain the redemptive role of the Messiah. All right, the Messiah had a job to do. The Messiah took on the sins of the adulterous woman. The adulterous woman was the nation of Israel. He nailed it to the cross. Now we are under grace. All right. So again, verse 16 is talking about the redemptive role, the job of the Messiah. Verse 17. And when he, which is the Messiah, was entered into the house from the people, his Talmudim, which is disciples, asked him concerning the parable. The parable is talked about in verse 15. All right, verse 15. And what we also have to do too is understand what is a parable. A parable is a descriptive saying alluding to higher principles of understanding. I'm going to say it again now. A parable is an descriptive saying alluding to a higher principle of understanding. Example, like the 4 levels of understanding the scriptures from a Hebraic perspective. And again, it is very important that we understand the scriptures from a Hebraic perspective. We have the Peshat level, we have the Remez level, we have the Drash level, and we have the Sod level. Okay, and all of these levels are very important for us to understand the scriptures, because there's the literal meaning of the scriptures, and then there's the what we call the science or the mystery level behind the scriptures. That's very important for us to understand. And again, verse 17, and when he, the Messiah, was entered into the house from the people, his disciples asked him concerning the parable. They wanted the breakdown. Verse 18, and he said unto them, Are ye so without understanding also? Do you not perceive that whatsoever thing from without entering into the man, it cannot defile him? Again, because it didn't take root. All right, we can't be persuaded by what looks like when we see the other nations we're in our glory, or they're having fun. We cannot be entertained by that, because all those things are only for a season. They're temporary. With that, I'm going to have to